For a long time, he thought fear only appeared when something was wrong. But what he didn't he understand back then was this. The mind can learn to feel threatened even by ordinary human presence. That realization would come much later. At first, there was only discomfort he couldn't explain. Social anxiety didn't arrive loudly. It crept in slowly, a tightening in the chest before speaking, a rush of heat when eyes turned toward him, a constant awareness of how he was standing, how he was breathing, how he might be perceived. Over time, these sensations became automatic, as if his body had memorized fear. He learned how to hide it well. He avoided attention. He spoke only when necessary. He rehearsed sentences in his head before saying them out loud. Simple interactions, ordering food, answering a question, walking into a room, felt like tests he was always afraid of failing. Living with severe social anxiety meant constantly monitoring himself, his posture, his tone, his expressions. He believed that if he stayed perfectly controlled, no one would notice how anxious he was. What he didn't realize was how exhausting that constant self-surveillance had become. During conversations, his mind rarely stayed present. While others spoke, he was already worrying about what he would say next. When he finally spoke, he immediately analyzed his words, replaying them in his head, searching for mistakes. Even neutral reactions felt threatening. A pause, a glance, a change in tone. His mind filled in the worst explanations. At night, anxiety followed him home. He replayed social moments over and over, wishing he had said something differently, wondering how others perceived him. Sleep came late, interrupted by thoughts that refused to let go. He told himself tomorrow would be different. It rarely was. But what happened next would quietly change how he understood his fear. One day, after avoiding yet another invitation, he noticed something unsettling. His body reacted to social situations the same way it would react to danger. His heart raced, his muscles tightened, his breath shortened, but there was no real threat, only people. That realization confused him. Why did connection feel unsafe? He didn't realize that moment was already shaping a deeper awareness. For years, he believed social anxiety was a personal flaw, that he was weak, awkward, or broken. He compared himself to others who seemed relaxed and confident, wondering what they had that he didn't. This comparison only deepened the shame and reinforced the fear. What followed challenged everything he believed about himself. He began to understand that social anxiety wasn't about people. It was about perception. His nervous system had learned to associate visibility with danger, attention with exposure, being seen with risk. It wasn't a conscious choice, it was conditioning. This awareness didn't erase the anxiety. Conversations were still difficult. Crowds still triggered tension. His voice still trembled at times. But instead of attacking himself for it, he started observing the pattern. Fear appeared before words, tension before judgment. His body reacted before his mind could intervene. There were setbacks, many of them, days when he canceled plans, moments when anxiety won and he retreated back into silence. But slowly, something shifted. He stopped demanding confidence. He stopped waiting to feel ready. He allowed himself to be anxious and still present. He began asking himself questions he had never allowed before. What if discomfort didn't mean danger? What if anxiety didn't define who he was? What if connection was possible even with fear present? There was one realization he only understood later. Avoidance had been protecting him from discomfort, but it had also been shrinking his life. Gradually, small changes appeared. He stayed in conversations a little longer. He spoke even when his voice shook. He allowed awkward moments to exist without escaping them immediately. Anxiety didn't disappear, but it softened when it wasn't being fought. He realized how many years he had spent waiting to become fearless before living. How many connections he had delayed. How much energy he had used trying to appear normal instead of simply being human. There's something he discovered through this journey that might help others too. If social anxiety has shaped your choices, limited your voice, or kept you hidden for years, you can explore the psychological materials mentioned in the description and comments. They're there to help you understand anxiety and fear, and to learn how to rebuild confidence and inner safety step by step. He didn't become fearless, but fear stopped controlling every decision. And he learned something essential along the way. Confidence, I assume the absence of anxiety. It as the ability to stay present even when anxiety is there.